So I'm gonna attempt to give another sort of tutorial on how I do something. This time it's gonna be with a way I process things instead of a way I synthesize drums like the last one. Um, in this case, I'm gonna be doing like a sort of moving around a buffer or like the playhead of a buffer using Ableton's Echo, which is kind of fun to do. It's not very um, you can apply it in a lot of situations. Okay, so first I'm going to drag in any sample. Let's say an almond break. Okay. Yeah. Has it? Will it work? Let's do this. Maybe it's just a better break. I don't want this to work well. Okay, whatever. Okay. This is gonna drive me nuts. There we go. Whatever. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do, if we want to be able to move this buffer around, we need an echo. So let's drag in an echo device. Like that. As you do. Turn down the reverb. My default echo preset is kind of weird. So put it on stereo mode. We don't want ping pong, and turn off the filter because that's going to mess with it. Turn off sync and turn the feedback to 100. What that's going to do is going to make it, whatever you put into it, is just going to keep repeating endlessly. I want to go into the modulation, turn off any modulation that we have, because we want it to be as static as possible. Turn off the wobble, turn off the gate. This my default echo preset is kind of stupid, but we want to leave repitch on because that's what's going to enable us to do some cool stuff. And of course, turn the dry wet to 100%. So now if we play this, it's gonna keep going indefinitely, like that. Which is pretty cool. But that on its own, that's pretty cool, but we need a second echo if we want to be able to move it around. So we're going to take this echo in, do the same stuff mostly, turn it to stereo mode, turn the dry wet to 100, but this time we're going to turn the feedback to 0%, so that we only have one delay tap going. And of course, turn off the filter, turn off anything in the character, turn off any modulation, because we don't want any of that, and leave repitch on. So if I go through this again, it's going to do that, but we can move this around. There you go. So that's the most basic application of this. And obviously it gets more complex, and I want to be able to do that. So I'm going to put this in a rack, duplicate it, put one to the right and one to the left, and then add a second delay on either one. Doesn't really matter. And now what we have is a Haas. So I can move this around. Oh, right. My bad. I want to turn repitch off for the first one in this, so that you don't get any pitch modulation artifacting, which is not what you usually want for a Haas. So let's load the buffer back up and change the Haas amount. There you go. So now you have a delay between the right and the left signals. but now we can't change each one independently, so we're going to make a macro for this. I guess I'll make a macro for the Haas as well. Cool. And we can change that pretty easily. But of course, obviously, I want to make it more complex and make it cooler. So, to do that, we're going to put this in a rack. Map this to macro 1, this to macro 2, and make another macro for you. Now, currently this isn't doing much, but I'm slowly building a rack so that we have one place for all of our controls, so we don't have to move our mouse around much. So what this is going to do, when we change this with repitch on, it's not going to repitch it once and then move back to normal. It's going to stay repitched as we sort of stretch it, because that's what it's doing. It's time stretching it. So if we load it into the buffer, and then make the buffer larger, like this, it's going to stay pitched down. Then within that, if we move this around, then it'll repitch momentarily. So if we move the buffer to be smaller, it'll be higher and make sort of an oscillation. So if I do that, that's a comb filter, basically, or a yeah, that's what a comb filter is. So I think that's it. I think that's about it. I'll put the preset for this rack in the description of this video. And yeah, if I can find the right window to stop the recording. There we go. Thanks for watching.